You check into the hotel at 3 in the morning. The lobby smells like cigarettes from 1987 and something else, something sweet and wrong, like fruit left too long in a hot car. The clerk doesn't look up from his phone. His fingers move across the screen, but the phone is clearly dead, black as the windows behind him. You sign the register with a pen that leaves no ink. He hands you a key attached to a plastic diamond the size of a child's fist. Room 237, he says, though his mouth doesn't move. The elevator takes 17 minutes to arrive. You count them on your phone while the fluorescent lights above you flicker in a pattern that almost makes sense, like Morse code from someone who forgot the alphabet. The doors open to reveal wood paneling and a mirror that shows you from angles that shouldn't exist. You press the button for the second floor. The elevator goes down. Hotels and dreams never follow the rules of physics. Architects who study aeronautics, the science of dream exploration, have documented that dream buildings reshape themselves based on emotional states. Your anxiety becomes architecture. The hallway stretches longer than the building could possibly contain. The carpet pattern shifts when you're not looking directly at it. Burgundy flowers becoming eyes, becoming teeth, becoming flowers again. You pass room 235, then room 239, then room 235 again. The numbers aren't sequential because sequence requires logic, and logic checked out of this place years ago. You hear ice machines that don't exist. Every dream hotel has them, humming their lonely electric hymn in corners where no corners should be. The sound follows you like a stray dog made of static. Your key card works on the third try, which is suspicious because nothing works on the third try in dreams. The door swings open to reveal a room you've seen before. In other dreams, in other hotels, the bedspread is that specific shade of brown that exists nowhere in waking life. The television is already on, showing local news from a town you've never heard of. A woman in a blue suit talks about a fire that hasn't happened yet. You set your bag down on the luggage rack. The bag is empty but weighs 40 pounds. Dream logic accepts this contradiction without question. The bathroom door is already open. Inside, the bathtub is full of ice, and something underneath the ice that you decide not to investigate. The towels are folded into shapes that might be swans or might be warnings. You check your phone, but the screen shows only your reflection, except your reflection is checking into a different hotel, in a different dream where you're the clerk who doesn't look up. The air conditioning unit beneath the window sounds like someone breathing through a snorkel. You realize you can't remember how you got here. Not just to this hotel, but to this moment, standing in a room that smells like carpet cleaner and regret. The remote control has buttons labeled with symbols from no known language. You press one anyway. The channels change, but every channel is the same woman in the same blue suit talking about the same fire that still hasn't happened. Outside your window, the parking lot extends forever. Cars from every decade sit side by side, all with their headlights on, all empty, all waiting. You sit on the bed, and it exhales beneath you, a sound too organic for springs and foam. The sheets feel like they've been slept in by someone with your exact body shape, but wrong somehow, like a photocopy of comfort. Above the bed hangs a painting of a lighthouse. The lighthouse has too many windows. Lighthouses don't need that many windows, you think, but then you notice the windows have curtains, and behind the curtains are tiny rooms, and in those rooms are more paintings of more lighthouses. The infinite regression makes your teeth ache. You decide to explore. The hallway has changed while you were in your room. The carpet now shows a pattern of keys, thousands of them, and each key has a room number that doesn't match any door. The ice machine sound has multiplied into a chorus. You follow it around a corner that shouldn't exist. The building's geometry folding in on itself like origami made of dread. You find a vending machine that sells items you can't identify through the scratched glass. The prices are all in currencies, from countries that were dissolved before you were born. Someone has taped a handwritten sign to the machine that says out of order in letters that seem to writhe. You put in a quarter anyway. The machine accepts it with a sound like breaking bones. Nothing comes out, but you hear something fall inside. Something heavy and wet. The elevator at this end of the hall has no buttons, just a brass plate that reads AL all floors simultaneously. You take the stairs instead. The stairwell smells like chlorine and birthday cake. Each landing has a door, but they're all marked with the same number, 0, which isn't a floor that should exist. You hear footsteps above you matching your pace exactly. When you stop, they stop. When you run, they run. You never see who's making them. Because dreams understand that the monster you don't see is always worse than the one you do. On what might be the 3rd floor, or might be the negative 1st, you find a conference room with its door propped open. Inside, chairs are arranged for a meeting that ended decades ago. The whiteboard still has notes from a presentation about quarterly earnings for a company that sells what looks like shadows, based on the crude drawings. Coffee cups sit on the table, still steaming, though the coffee inside has turned to something that looks like television static. You keep climbing until you reach a floor that the numbers claim is both 7 and 70 simultaneously. The hallway here is different, older, with wallpaper that shows a repeating pattern of doors opening onto more doors opening onto more doors. You can hear a television from one of the rooms, playing what sounds like a game show where contestants guess the names of colors that don't exist. The laughter track is just one person laughing, over and over at exactly the same pitch. You find another room with its door ajar. Inside, you see yourself sleeping in the bed, but you're also standing in the doorway, watching yourself sleep, but you're also still in the hallway looking at yourself. The recursive loop makes your nose bleed, though when you touch your face, your hand comes away dry. The blood is on the carpet instead, spelling out words in a language you understand perfectly until you try to read it. Check out time according to a sign you definitely didn't see before. Is it dawn? You check your phone. The clock says it's always almost dawn here, forever approaching but never arriving. Like Zeno's paradox applied to hospitality. The hotel is patient. It has all the time that doesn't exist. You return to your room to find someone has been there. The bed is made with military precision, but the sheets are now inside out, the tags facing up like tiny white flags of surrender. Your luggage has been unpacked, though you brought nothing to unpack. Clothes that aren't yours hang in the closet, all in your size, all in colors you'd never choose. The bathroom mirror now reflects a room that isn't this one. A nicer room with a view of mountains that shouldn't exist in this geographic region. You touch the glass and it's warm, body temperature, like skin. The telephone rings. Hotel phones in dreams always ring exactly when you're about to figure something out. You answer because not answering is worse. The voice on the other end speaks in dial tones. You understand it anyway. Room service will be there in 5 minutes with something you didn't order. You hang up, but the dial tone continues from the receiver. Even after you unplug the phone from the wall, the knock comes in exactly 5 minutes. You know because you counted the seconds on your phone, which now shows only the number 5, repeated infinitely down the screen. You open the door to find a cart, but no one pushing it. On the cart is a silver dome. Under the dome is another dome. Under that dome is a plate with a single key, not a key card but an old brass key, the kind that shouldn't open anything in a modern hotel. You take it because dream logic suggests that refusing gifts from invisible room service is how you get stuck here forever. The key is heavy and warm, and when you hold it, you can hear music from somewhere far below, like a ballroom that exists in the basement that the hotel claims it doesn't have. You decide to find it. The elevator comes immediately, this time too eager, like it's been waiting. Inside, you notice a button you didn't see before, marked with a symbol that hurts to look at directly. You press it with the brass key. The elevator drops fast enough that your stomach stays on the 2nd floor. The doors open to a ballroom that hasn't seen a party since color was invented. Everything is in shades of gray except for the chandelier, which burns with colors that don't have names, colors that make you understand why mantis shrimp can see 16 types of primary colors while humans only see 3. The music comes from a piano that plays itself, the keys depressing in patterns that would require at least 4 hands. The song is familiar but wrong, like Happy Birthday played in a minor key by someone who's never experienced happiness or birth. You cross the ballroom and your footsteps echo, but the echo comes first, before your foot hits the floor. At the far end is another door marked employees only in letters that seem to breathe. You use the brass key, it fits perfectly. Behind the door is a service corridor that smells like industrial cleaning supplies and despair. The fluorescent lights here don't flicker. They pulse like a heartbeat, like the hotel itself is alive and you're walking through its veins. You follow the corridor past doors marked with departments that shouldn't exist, like Department of Lost Sounds, Office of Forgotten Guests, and one simply labeled with a question mark that bleeds rust when you look at it. You hear voices from behind that last door, multiple voices, all speaking simultaneously, all saying your name but pronouncing it differently each time, like they're trying every possible version until they find the one that unlocks you. The corridor branches into 3 paths. The left smells like pool chlorine, though you've seen no pool. The middle hums with electrical current that makes your fillings ache. The right is silent, which is somehow worse. You take the middle path because at least the humming proves something still works here. The walls are lined with circuit breakers labeled for rooms that don't match the hotel's layout, like room 9999, the yesterday suite, and one just marked Jennifer, though you don't know any Jennifer, and suspect you never will. The humming grows louder until you realize it's not electrical at all. It's voices, thousands of them, all the conversations from every guest who ever stayed here, playing simultaneously at a frequency just below understanding. You catch fragments when you concentrate, complaints about the ice machine, requests for late checkout, confessions whispered into pillows that remembered everything. The corridor ends at a door that says manager, but the letters rearrange themselves while you watch, becoming anagram, then grandma, then Agerman before settling back to manager. You knock, someone knocks back from the other side, matching your rhythm perfectly. You open the door to find an office that belongs in 1974. Wood paneling covers walls that meet at angles that Euclid would have called impossible. The desk is covered in registration cards, all filled out in the same handwriting, all with the same name, your name, but with check-in dates ranging from tomorrow to the heat death of the universe. Behind the desk sits a chair that spins slowly, showing you glimpses of someone who might be the manager or might be you in 40 years or might be both. When the chair completes its rotation, no one is there, but the impression remains in the leather, human-shaped but too deep, like someone sat there for decades without moving. You notice a wall of keys behind the desk, not modern key cards but brass keys like the one you're holding. Each has a tag with a room number. You find 237 and compare it to yours. They're identical, but the one on the wall is covered in rust that looks suspiciously like dried blood. You hear the elevator ding from somewhere that should be solid wall. A panel slides open, revealing an elevator you couldn't have taken, because this one goes sideways. A family gets out, or what might have been a family once. They move in synchronization, their heads turning toward you in perfect unison. The children are too tall, the parents are too short. They check in at a desk that wasn't there before, with a clerk who might be the same one from when you arrived, or might be his reflection escaped from the mirror. They disappear down a hallway that definitely wasn't there 5 seconds ago. The hotel is renovating itself while you watch, adding rooms for guests who haven't been born yet, removing rooms where people are still sleeping. You leave the office through a different door than you entered, because the one you came through now opens onto a swimming pool filled with something that isn't water but wishes it was. The new door leads to a kitchen that hasn't been used since the invention of refrigeration. The stoves are cold, but food still cooks on them, eggs frying themselves into patterns that look like faces you almost recognize. A chef's hat sits on a counter, still shaped like someone's head is in it. You don't look inside. You've learned not to look inside things here. The kitchen connects to a dining room where breakfast is being served at what your phone claims is midnight, though the windows show noon and the clock on the wall has only one hand that spins counterclockwise. You sit at a table because standing has become suspicious. The chair knows your weight before you settle into it, adjusting itself to comfort you in ways that make you deeply uncomfortable. A waitress appears. Or maybe she was always there and you just now noticed her. Her name tag says, "Hello, my name is," but the space where a name should be is just a hole cut straight through the plastic and possibly through space itself. She pours coffee into a cup that's already full. The coffee disappears somewhere between the pot and the cup, but steam still rises, forming shapes like letters in an alphabet you've never learned but suddenly understand. The menu she hands you is blank until you look away, then it's full of items like yesterday's breakfast, tomorrow's regret, and something called the usual, though you've never been here before, except maybe you have. In dreams you don't remember having. You order toast because toast seems safe. She brings you a plate with a photograph of toast on it. The photograph is warm and buttered. You eat it anyway and it tastes like memory, specifically the memory of eating actual toast in an actual diner when you were 7 and everything made sense. Other guests fill the dining room though you didn't see them enter. They all eat in perfect silence, their jaws moving in synchronization like they're chewing to the same rhythm, the hotel's heartbeat maybe, or yours. One of them looks exactly like you but older, more tired, like they've been trying to check out for years. They catch you staring and mouth the word run, but when you blink they're gone and their plate is clean like they never existed. The waitress returns with your check. The total is your exact age in days plus tax. You pay with a credit card you don't remember having. She swipes it through a reader that isn't plugged in and hands you a receipt that says thank you for staying forever in letters that fade as you read them. You need to leave. The feeling arrives sudden and certain, like remembering you left the stove on in a house you'd never owned. You stand and every other guest stands too, moving toward exits that weren't there before. Doors opening onto corridors that lead deeper into the hotel rather than out. You follow them because following feels better than choosing. The corridor slopes downward so gradually you don't notice until your ears pop from the pressure change. The guests ahead of you move faster, their shapes becoming less distinct, more like suggestions of people than actual people. You pass rooms with their doors open. Inside each one the same scene plays out, someone checking in looking confused, finding their room, the loop repeating endlessly. You recognize some of the guests, they're all you at different ages and different clothes, but definitely you. The corridor ends at a grand staircase that goes both up and down from the same landing. The physics of it makes your brain itch. Guests split in both directions, and somehow you follow both groups simultaneously, experiencing the climb and the descent at the same time. Your phone buzzes with a text from a number that's just zeros. It says checkout is in -5 minutes. You check the time, but your phone now shows only a countdown that's counting up, adding seconds to a debt you didn't know you owed. At the top and bottom of the stairs simultaneously, you find yourself in the lobby again, but it's wrong, reversed like a mirror, but not exactly. More like someone described the lobby to someone else who rebuilt it from memory in a dream they were having while drowning. The clerk is there but also not there, existing in a state of quantum uncertainty that resolves only when you're not looking directly at him. You approach the desk to check out. He smiles with too many teeth. The extras filed neatly behind the first row like shark teeth or piano keys. You request your bill. He hands you a leather folder that weighs more than leather should. Inside, the charges are listed in experiences rather than currency. 1 night of sleep you'll never have. 3 conversations you'll forget. 7 moments of clarity that will arrive too late. The total is your signature, which you've already given, apparently because it's already there on the line. In handwriting that's yours but neater, like you signed it while someone else moved your hand. You notice other guests checking out around you, but their interactions happen at different speeds. Some in slow motion, some so fast they blur. A woman to your left has been signing the same form for what looks like hours, her pen moving in endless loops. A man to your right completes his entire checkout in the space between your heartbeats. The clerk stamps your receipt with a stamp that leaves no mark. He tells you that you're free to go, but his mouth forms different words. Words that look like thank you for feeding us. The exit doors are right there, glass and steel and freedom, but when you push them they open inward back into the hotel. You try pulling, they pull you forward, still into the hotel. The hotel has no outside. You realize, it never did. Every exit is just another entrance to a different part of the same structure. You feel panic rise like water in your lungs, but it's not your panic, it's the hotel's panic that you might actually leave. Your phone rings. The screen says it's you calling. You answer because what else can you do? Your own voice speaks, but older, tired, defeated. It tells you the only way out is further in, which makes no sense, but nothing here ever did. You have to find room 001, the first room, the room that was here before the hotel, the room the hotel was built around. You've never seen room 001 on any floor, but your older voice insists it exists. Down past the basement, past the ballroom, past the place where they keep the lost things. You return to the elevator. A new button has appeared, unmarked, just a depression in the brass panel like someone pressed their thumb there while the metal was still soft. You press it, the elevator doesn't move, but the hotel moves around it. Reality reshuffling like a deck of cards where every card is the same room but different. The doors open to a corridor made of older materials. Brick and mortar instead of drywall, gas lamps instead of electric lights. The carpet is gone, replaced by wooden floors that creak in harmonies that shouldn't exist. You can smell age here, real age. The kind that comes from existing before people decided time should move in only one direction. The room numbers count backward but also forward, existing in both states until you observe them. You find room 001 because it finds you, its door appearing wherever you happen to be looking. The brass key in your pocket, the one from room service, grows warm. You use it, the lock accepts it like it's been waiting. Inside is not a room but the idea of a room, the first sketch someone made before they knew what hotels would become. There's a bed that's just the concept of rest, a window that shows not outside but the absence of inside, a door that leads to the place before places. You understand now, this isn't a hotel you've dreamed, it's a hotel that's dreaming you. You stand in room 001 and feel the hotel breathing around you, through you, as you. The walls pulse with a rhythm that matches your heartbeat. Because they're the same system now, you're not a guest anymore. You're a feature, like the ice machine that hums in corners that don't exist, like the elevator that goes to floors that shouldn't be. The bed in room 001 isn't solid. It's made of all the sleep that's ever happened here. Thousands of dreams compressed into something that looks like furniture but feels like falling. You sit on it and sink through layers of other people's unconsciousness. You see their dreams flickering past like channels on the television that plays tomorrow's news. A businessman dreams of missing his flight and ends up in the hotel. A child dreams of losing her parents and finds them in the lobby. A woman dreams of doors that won't lock and discovers room 237. They're all here, all still dreaming. Their bodies somewhere else, but their minds caught in the hotel's infinite architecture. You realize the hotel doesn't exist in a place. It exists in the space between sleeping and waking, that moment when you can't remember where you are or how you got there. Every time someone experiences that disorientation, they're here checking in, wandering halls that reshape themselves according to the grammar of nightmares. Your phone, which shouldn't work here but does because dream logic loves irony, shows you a map of the hotel, but it's not a map of rooms and corridors. It's a map of every anxiety about travel that's ever existed. The fear of forgetting something important becomes the luggage room where bags multiply when you're not watching. The fear of being late becomes the lobby where check-in takes forever but also already happened. The fear of strangers becomes the other guests who might be you or might be wearing your face. You understand now why you can't leave. No one leaves. They just wake up and forget they were here, until the next time they dream of fluorescent lights and endless corridors and ice machines humming their electric loneliness. But some part of them stays, becomes part of the hotel. Another room, another floor, another feature that shouldn't exist but does. You've probably been here before dozens of times, hundreds. That's why the clerk recognized you without looking. That's why you knew the brass key would fit. That's why the elevator knew where to take you before you pressed the button. You're not just a guest, you're architecture now, a supporting beam in a structure made of collective unconscious anxiety about temporary spaces that feel eternal. You stand from the bed that isn't a bed and notice the room has changed. The walls show scenes from every hotel you've ever stayed in, real ones but wrong, infected by this place. The Holiday Inn where you spent Christmas alone becomes a maze of identical rooms all playing the same Christmas movie. The motel from that road trip becomes an infinite parking lot where all the cars have the same license plate, yours. You try to leave room 001 but the door opens onto room 001. You're already outside looking in at yourself trying to leave. The recursion doesn't hurt anymore. Your brain has adapted to impossible geometry, the way eyes adapt to darkness. You can navigate paradoxes now like hallways. You can read the real meaning in the elevator buttons, the ones that say things like yesterday's basement and the floor you deserve. You can hear what the ice machines are really saying, counting down to a checkout time that never arrives. The hotel speaks to you now, not in words but in the language of forgotten rooms and misremembered hallways. It tells you its history, how it started as a single room in someone's dream in 1892, a traveling salesman who died in his sleep in an actual hotel, and whose last thought was that he'd never check out. That thought became room 001, and around it grew other rooms, other fears, other fragments of sleep paralysis and travel anxiety. You're shown the architect who designed the impossible staircase, except she wasn't an architect and she didn't design it. She just dreamed of stairs that went nowhere while recovering from surgery, and her morphine dream became load-bearing. You see the child who created the eternal breakfast room, who didn't want morning to end because morning meant leaving vacation and going home. Her wish became architecture, became the dining room where it's always almost breakfast time. The hotel is built from these moments, these fears, these wishes that consciousness would reject but unconsciousness treasures. It's not malevolent. It's just hungry for the kind of reality only sleeping minds can provide. And you've been feeding it since you arrived. Your confusion becoming corridors, your displacement becoming doorways. You check your phone one last time. The screen shows your reflection, but you're not in room 001. You're in your actual bed, in your actual home, asleep. This version of you, the one in the hotel, is the dream, but that doesn't make you less real here. Dreams have their own reality, their own rules, their own permanent residence. You think about all the hotels you've ever stayed in, how they all blur together in memory, becoming one endless hotel where you're always checking in, always looking for your room, always hearing ice machines in the walls. That's this place. This is where all those hotels go when you forget their specific details. They merge here, become part of the greater structure, the eternal hotel that exists in everyone's dreams. You finally understand how to check out. You don't. You just accept that part of you lives here now, has always lived here, will always live here. The you that wakes up won't remember this revelation. But the next time you dream of hotels, you'll be more comfortable, because you'll know on some level below consciousness that you're just visiting yourself. The brass key in your hand isn't a key anymore. It's a business card. It has your name and a title that says permanent resident. There's no phone number, just an address that reads room 001. The hotel you can't remember, the floor between floors. You put it in your pocket where your waking self will never find it but will always know it's there. The hotel releases you, not to leave but to wake up. The walls fade to that particular gray of early morning consciousness. The last thing you hear is the ice machine, but now you understand what it's saying. It's saying welcome home, in the frequency only the dreaming can hear. You wake in your own bed, disoriented, not sure where you are for just a moment. In that moment, you're both places at once, here and there, awake and asleep, checking out and checking in. You forget the details immediately, the way you always do. But somewhere in the back of your mind, in the place where travel anxiety lives, you know you've left something important in a hotel you can't quite remember. You're right, you've left yourself and you're still there, will always be there. In room 001, in the hotel made of dreams about hotels, where checkout time is never and the ice machine sings forever.